Okay, it says we're going live. I pushed the button. We did it again tonight. Not on the show. Dutch and I'm just Random Excess. You're here on Random Thoughts. We were doing a little practice video on something earlier today. Did a great 10-minute video, and I never pressed the record button. I don't know what it is with that record button. I can't get it straight. It's
And it was on a different piece of machinery too.
Yeah, I was using my that was another thing. Yeah, I was using my little it's like a little cell phone. Let's call it what it is. It's a little cell phone, but I don't have a SIM card in it. I just use it to connect to the internet through Wi-Fi, or I use it to take pictures, or I use it as an iPod. Paid $30 for it, and you can put a little memory card into it, a little SD card with 64 gigs on it, and I have it loaded down, 35 gigs of music. Got some movies on there. It's my little entertainment package in my hand, and I have it synced up with connected up with the. I have it connected up with with the internet. So when I take pictures, I have a slideshow running at home on my big screen TV, and I'll click on it. I'll take the picture, and then as long as I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, it'll send the picture up to the cloud. I guess it moves through the cloud, and then it comes down onto my PC or my laptop, and then my laptop is running a slideshow on the desktop, which is extended over to the big screen TV. So there's this live slideshow of pictures I've been taking that day, and every day I update it, get rid of the old pictures from today, yesterday, put new pictures for today on there. So that's something I've been doing. And now we were trying this video thing with the camera, but something happened, and I ended up, for some reason, taking the SD card out for whatever reason it was. I didn't. Maybe it was going to be too much to load the video. I had some reason for doing it that didn't really make any sense at the time. But the idea was to take the SD card out of the phone, put it right into the computer, and transfer the file. No problem. Go back, put the SD card back in the phone. One of the things I didn't do is I didn't safely eject the SD card. I guess what that does is that when you have the SD card, which should just do this automatically. Why do I have to safely eject it? But maybe it keeps track of the table of contents for all the files, so it knows all the file names and where they are on the disk. That's an important table of contents. Because that's what your computer uses, actually, that kind of technology, that idea. When it deletes a file, it doesn't actually delete an entire file. What it does is it deletes the entry out of this table that tells it where the file is on the disk. You delete that, and now the computer won't be able to find where it is on the disk. It doesn't know where it is, how big it is, those important things to prevent it from overwriting. It takes that out of the table, and so now that data is still on the disk, and eventually it gets overwritten because other files crouch in and move it out. And that's also how you can undelete files, is it basically just remembers it has like a second copy of the table of contents, and it just stays over there. And a lot of times when you undelete, the file may not be as complete because maybe it was it's got overwritten, but it gives you a way to get back to the file. And it's also why, surprise, 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 you delete a file and the police come in and they find your file because you never deleted your file. All you did was delete it from this table of contents. Well, when you safely eject the SD card, my guess is it remembers the table of contents. So that way the SD card's out. When you plug the SD card back in, 64 gigs of data there, it doesn't want to have to create a whole new table of contents of, I have 7,000 songs on my computer and, whatever. It doesn't want to create all that table of contents again. It just wants to use the one that it had before. So that's why I think you safely eject it, so it doesn't have to reload the disk. There might be other reasons too, but that might be part of it. Well, anyway, I reload. I pull the disk out and whatever I was messing around with. Then I put the little chip, the little SD card, the micro SD card, back into the phone, and then all of a sudden the camera's not working. Taking pictures, and it goes to like the camera roll, where you swipe left. You swipe left, you can take a picture, you swipe left, you see the pictures that you just took. Well, I'm taking pictures, and it's taking pictures as far as I can tell. It's clicking, click, click, new picture, swipe left, nothing there. Click, click, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Just the old pictures that were there. nothing getting uploaded to the SkyDrive or whatever it is, the OneDrive or the Google Drive or the cloud, some cloud thing up there. So nothing's getting uploaded there, and nothing's getting sent down to the PC, to the laptop. I don't know. Now I'm just freaking out. I'm getting frustrated. Just really trying to figure this out. And then I sort of accidentally figured out what was going on. I don't know if I told you that. I solved the whole mystery. So everything works, with at least that part of it is working fine. Whether or not, I think it was roughly when I did the video, I think it takes a while to upload the video, and that's what I was being impatient with the uploading the video, and that's why I pulled the card out. I was like, I'm not going to wait for you to upload the video. I'm just going to do this and this, and I figured that would make more sense, because when we did a test video of like 2 minutes or 5 seconds maybe, but instead of doing that, we were going to do the 20-minute video that that I never recorded the first time. But I thought, well, let me just make sure I can pull the chip the disk out and then transfer it. And that was how a lot of that got started. It was more of like a test, but I ended up doing more damage than good. I was able to transfer the little 5-second or 10-second video that we made from the chip over when I did that. But then when I put it back, the camera didn't work, and it was. Turns out what happens is, as way at the beginning of this, I told you I don't have a SIM card in my phone. Your phone, the time on your phone is automatically updated via the SIM card through the cellular network. Even though I'm connected to Wi-Fi, it seems like I should be able to figure. My phone should automatically update the time over Wi-Fi. Is that technology beyond us? Do our computers not do that? Do we have to actually set time on the computers when you hook a new computer up? I mean, it seems like we get devices connecting to the internet. It should be pretty obvious what time it is. I mean, connected to worldwide network means that I have to manually set the time on my phone. Okay, that's whatever. You have to manually set, which always struck me as odd, because I'm connected to the internet. Why can't I get automatic updates over the internet of my phone? And I've kind of forgotten that, because what was happening was, when I was taking the pictures, the time on the computer the time on the phone had been reset to the factory time when it was first manufactured, sometime back in 2014, back in May, I think May 15, 2014, or some date back then. So when I was taking the pictures are being named by the date. So they're being sent all the way to the front of the queue on the camera roll, because they're the oldest possible date. As you take pictures of the camera roll, everything on the camera roll is in the order, not in that you took them, but they're in order by the file name, and the file name is timestamped, and so when it gets sent to the end of the queue, now it's at the end of the queue, and there must be some sort of, maybe it's also a timestamp. Well, now it's also being timestamped as when it's being saved. The file's being saved to the camera. It's being named with this old name, so it's way at the beginning of the swipe left queue, which is why I wasn't seeing it. I was kind of swiping left a few times, but there might be 50 pictures there, so I'm not going all the way to the beginning to say. I just went a few, and I go, well, it's not there. I stopped. Well, if I'd gone all the way to the beginning, I would have been seeing all those pictures I was taking. They were all crowded up there with these ancient dates on them, but they're also not being updated to the cloud drive, because what the cloud drive does, I guess, me guessing based on what was happening, is it remembers the last time you updated things. And it only updates new files when the date is later than the last time it updated. So it wasn't updating because it thought it was May of 2014. So it hasn't gotten past. It's looking at new files, and this file was created in May of 2014. Today is January 13, 2015. So it wasn't updating. So once I got the date set and started taking pictures again, the pictures were getting the right names, so they were in the right order on the queue for the camera roll, and they were getting updated to the SkyDrive. So every time I pull my little card out, because I'm not connected to a cellular network, I have to make sure that I definitely reset the time right away, so that I don't mess up the camera and then start wondering why my camera's broken.
So here, you had me believe that my ugly mug broke your camera.
Yes, I admit I did that. It was the best explanation I had at the time. I go with the best explanation at the time. At the time, I mean, what else could it have been?
I have to say that I actually felt guilty because it was while we were doing a few different things for a few different reasons, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, is this going to work or is it not going to work? And it stopped working when it started focusing on me. So, I mean, I know I have my good days and bad days, but this was definitely giving me a concept.
A complex, yeah. It was it was another thing. I was really getting frustrated with this. This little chip that goes to the phone. I don't know if you've seen these little micro SD chips. There used to be these SD chips, which were, I can actually show you. I mean, I know it was very exciting for everybody to watch this. I'll just leave the package here. There's like this SD chip. And what there is this is the converter, the adapter, because this was the size of the original SD chips when they first came out. Then they made a mini SD chip, which was about half the size of this, and then they had a different converter, maybe it was the same converter, and then you could still use this thing in your computer by sticking the smaller chip in. And it's hard to see, maybe there's a little tiny chip in here, smaller than your fingernail, a little tiny thing that you stick in the adapter. So the little tiny chip goes in the phone directly, and then the adapter, you stick the little chip, the little disc into the adapter so it goes into the laptop. Okay, why am I telling you all that? I ended up damaging the adapter today when I was doing all this. I guess I put it backwards. I don't know. I was smashing it. I had a backup adapter at least, because every time you buy a little microchip, they give you an adapter. But now I'm down one adapter. I have two of these chips. Actually, I have three of these chips. I think I threw one of these adapters away because I figured I got two adapters. I don't want to keep three adapters. Threw one away. I don't like having stuff. I really don't like having stuff, especially stuff I'm not going to use. So yeah, plus that's so bulky. You should see this room. You wouldn't believe that I would throw this little thing away because it took up too much room, given the way distorted thoughts. But as I'm thinking, I must have gotten rid of it because I don't know where it is. So I think I threw it away. So I was down to two adapters, which I was okay. But now I've already ruined it on one of the. So now I'm down to one adapter. I thought I was doing well, and I violated the first rule of computer backups. If you only have one backup, you have no backups. The point being that you have to have two backups of everything, because when you do lose something, you have the opportunity now to still replace your backup while still having a backup. I'm down to one chip now. I thought I had two backups, and I threw one away because I only needed one backup. Well, now I've damaged one, and now I'm down to one chip. I was like, oh shit, I don't have a backup now. Which was, that's what the expression means. If you don't have two backups, you don't have a backup. Because as soon as you damage one, if you don't have two, you're out. It's like, oh. So I wish I'd had the other one now. But at least now I still have one adapter. I can still take the chip. Why is this also a problem too? You might be asking. Why don't you just connect your phone like a normal human being, Wayne, into your computer, and like everybody else does? I can't do that because there's something happened. There's some driver, some MTP driver for the phone that got damaged somehow. It won't let me uninstall it. Won't let me install it. Won't let me do anything with it. It won't let the phone in any way communicate directly with the PC. So I have to. The only way to connect, I can pull the chip out, and I can plug the chip into the computer, and then I can just transfer files that way, or I can go via the SkyDrive, or the OneDrive, or the cloud, system. So technology is just kicking my ass today. It's kicking my ass, but I'm learning, right? I wouldn't, I feel like I'm trial by fire. I've never had a smartphone until the last couple of weeks. I'm just brand new using Windows 8 with a touch screen this past week. I hadn't been using touch screens, but smartphones have touch screens, and then my new laptop has a touch screen. Some people last couple of years have been getting used to their touch screens because of their phones. So touch screen technology is all brand new to me. The Windows 8 is brand new to me. I'm using dual monitors. and actually importing a third monitor here. We're gonna do something really crazy here coming up this week. That's not really that crazy, but as you see now, there's a split screen. We're looking at a Facebook now. Well, what I'm gonna try and get rigged up here is instead of that Facebook being there, and then me having to constantly do this to us, where we switch back and forth. Now you get to see Shane, and then with another clip, now you get to see me. We're gonna try and get a split screen running where you'll be able to see both Shane and I at the same time. And that's just going to be requiring, do some fancy footwork with the network. I mean, it's probably a simple way to do it, so I'm probably doing it in the most complicated way possible. But I'm going to rig up something where I have one laptop streaming its webcam video over to the other laptop, and then I'll be packaging the two images. The one laptop will run its own camera. It'll be streaming the camera from the other one, package them together up in the Hangout display here. So we'll have like dual monitors here. So what that may do, though, I think about this is the lower third, that banner that you see on Shane's name there, that might go away because that's a function of Google Hangout putting that just kind of on the screen when you run the camera. Now I'm showing you, so it wouldn't show it here. That's why you don't see it on mine, because I'm not actually running my camera. I'm importing my camera image through into the Hangout so that I can show you the monitor on the other side where we can see, oh, look, there's the Random Thoughts with Random Access Facebook page to remind you that, yes, you should go check that out. There's lots of good things on that page. Maybe one good thing a day might be true. And it's also directly linked to our Twitter, so if you don't like going to Facebook, you can just be on Twitter. Follow Random Access on Twitter. That'd be the way to do it. Or you can just search our Twitter tag, which is RTWRE. That's random. That's Random Thoughts with Random Access, RTWRE. So hashtag RTWRE. You can search that on Twitter, and then the posts that go to Facebook will pop up with that hashtag from my Random Access account. So you can either follow the account or follow the hashtag, or search the hashtag. You can see that. And if also we talk about, you can live tweet during the show. When we're doing, giving you this technology rant, I'm way behind the times. Maybe you have an opinion on that. You're watching live during the show. You can send me a tweet, or just shout out a tweet with that hashtag. We'll pick it up. We'll see it. So many ways to contact us like that. Well, Facebook page. Here's an example of something that was on the Facebook page today. Let's see if I can find this here, because this technology is way beyond me. In fact, I can't use a touch screen here because of the.
It's a good thing that I don't have OCD.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many of you that are out there watching. I do this part-time with Wayne, and every time I come walking in, there's something different. And I'm generally the guinea pig that starts with where we're going to go with this. And so it's fun. I'll give you that much. But today was hell-raising over there.
Yeah, today was a bit of a nightmare. I have to admit that. And again, you know what? Shane, you were talking, and you weren't even on camera. You're on camera now. Because I turned off the automatic seek the person who's talking feature. So it wasn't seeking you. You're still on camera, and I'm talking. So now I'm going to put me back on camera so you can start talking again, and really it's everybody confused. It's like a ventriloquist act here. That's what this is kind of turned out to be. But so we're back up here. This gerrymandering thing. This is something that got me going. What I was going to say before. With something new every day. These thoughts, once they start flooding, once I start putting this thing together, and I start thinking of the things that I want to do, it's like, I get a new thought every day about, and what I should do is stretch it out. Let's master one thing before we start importing something new. One of the things we could be mastering really is the use of microphones and audio. The audio is, probably feels a little uneven, because it is a little uneven. So need to figure that out. it's really, I mean, I can figure it out. We've got it figured out. We just got to do it. I've got a little remote control that allows me to turn my microphone on and off, and Shane does the same sort of thing. And as long as we're not competing with our microphones, the audio is really good. Well, and then also allowing Shane to be on camera would also be nice. But that's we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. In fact, that will go away. That problem will go away when I get the split screen working.
Yeah, I'm catching up with you.
When the split screen's working, then that problem goes away. So so that's another thing here. Is rather than trying to solve all the old problems before moving on with new technology, sometimes the new technology takes care of the old problems. I can save time, not having to worry about trying to learn something that I'm not going to use or a skill that's going to be unnecessary in the future by with new technology. So the split screen technology will help us out, and we'll give that a shot. Gerrymandering.
That's quite the segue.
Yeah, that's the best kind of segue. This gerrymandering thing gets me going. On one level, very abstractly, when you sit back, it's like the voter ID. Oh, it sounds like a good idea. Voters should have ID. And gerrymandering basically is the word they use for really anytime you redraw voting districts. It could be considered gerrymandering, but I guess there's some level where when you really do when you really redraw them in a very specific way, then they refer to that as gerrymandering. But the idea of allowing the people in control, which is in this country is the party in control, to redraw their voting districts, that makes sense. I mean, because otherwise voting districts have to be frozen in time forever. No, there has to be some mechanism for changing them. It has to be a mechanism that doesn't tie up the courts. It should go through pretty simply, and basically you just say, okay, you guys in power, they're your voting districts, you can figure it out. You get to redraw them if that's what you want to do. One thing you can do is you could limit it to only when there's a new census, so they can't, so they can only redraw it once between census every 10 years. You say, well, you can't redraw it, if you've already redrawn it and we have no new census data, because the idea of redrawing the districts is because you want to kind of adjust for the population. If people move out of one district into another, you get too many people voting in one district and not enough in the other. You want to try and keep balance. So there's good reasons for wanting to redraw your districts after a census. But this graph, and this is maybe there's a lot of information in this little graph here, but this shows an example. There's two colors in there. There's sort of the white and the green. And the white and the green basically represent two types of voters, Party 1 and Party 2. Party 1 is the party of the white people, and the Party 2 is the party of the green people. And the first picture that you see there on the left shows it's notional. It might have been taken from the real district, actually. But 4 pretty normal shaped districts, in a 2x2 square, and then the distribution of voters in that district by where they live. So you imagine that you're looking at a map, and you draw the map, and then these green people sort of live in the middle in this little Y-shaped thing, and then the white people kind of live in those other little things. But each district itself, looking at this map, is roughly 50-50. The A district is roughly 50-50. The B is roughly 50-50. D roughly 50-50. C roughly 50-50. That means on a given election with that map, each district, there's roughly a 50-50 chance that someone's going to win from the Green Party and 50-50 from someone going to get from the White Party. And then when you look at all 4 together, because it's 50-50 for each district, you say, oh, it's going to be about 50-50. So most elections, you're going to get 2 from the White Party and 2 from the Green Party are going to win in that map. Generally. Sometimes it's going to be 3 from one, might even be all 4 from one sometimes. But from election to election to election, it's a 50-50 chance in each district. So it could go from 4-1 in one election to 0-4 in the next election. Things like that can happen. It's very volatile, very diverse voting districts. When you have very diverse voting districts, anything can happen. Those are the what do they call those races? The swing states. They call these swing states like swing races. So these are the ones where things can change, and they can change because there's not like a firm pattern. What can happen over time is the percentages of people in a district might change. So a district might become more green, or a district might become more white, just over time as populations move around. And maybe one of the ideas of redrawing the districts is, well, let's always try and keep our districts drawn so they're as balanced as possible. Who knows if that was even a consideration. But what they do with gerrymandering is they'll take a beautiful picture like this where it's basically 4 districts, each split 50-50, and elections sometimes being 2 districts to 2, some 3-1, depending on how the elections go. One time, a party will come in and win like 3-1 or 4-0, and then they'll now be the controlling party. And when you're a controlling party, you can redraw districts. They'll come in and they'll say, hey, we're the white party. We won 3-1 this time. So now we're the controlling party. What we're going to do is we're going to redraw the districts. And when you look at the right side, what they do is they're going to say, hey, we're going to take District D, and we're going to redraw you to include all the green people. So the District D is this one district full of green people. And then the other 3 districts, because there's not many green people left, get drawn, so they're mostly white. And they have some green in them, maybe. But what you do is you're crowding your opposition into another district. And that's what you do with gerrymandering. Is you take your opposition and you crowd them all in, as many as you can, into as few districts as possible. Because now what happens? When election time comes around, these districts are not split evenly. When you look at the votes, party in District A, B, and C, and on the right side there, you're going to see the white party is going to win every single time. No matter what happens, they're going to win every single time. There's a couple little voters that sway one way or the other have 0 impact. And same in District D, the Green Party is going to win there every single time. The parties don't even have to campaign. They can campaign. They can do whatever they want. It doesn't matter anymore. The districts have been, they're set. They're done. It's over. There's no democracy there, really. And that's what gerrymandering does. It sort of kills this democracy. And both parties do it, admittedly. And that's why we end up with these districts all throughout the nation that are very heavily split, 100%, near 100% one side, near 100% the other side, and they're kind of fairly evenly distributed throughout the U.S. Because of sort of this gerrymandering on little scales. But what's happened recently is it's been drawn even more. So it's really, we're getting these ugly results. What is the end of that? Elections. Congress, we have an election recently. Over 95% reelected. Yeah. Congress has like lowest approval rating ever. 10% say. It was actually maybe even lower. Might have been 8%. But 10%, call it 10% approval. 95% or more were reelected. How does that happen? Because everybody votes for their congressman is one problem. And one of the reasons everybody votes for their congressman is because most districts are like on the right side. They're concentrated into just one party. And it's very, very difficult to shift your perspective enough to vote for the other party. If you're the white party, it's tough for you to vote for the Green Party when you got a white party candidate there. If you're in the Green Party, it's tough for you to vote for the white party. You might want to vote, you might want to have a primary and pick your best candidate. You're okay changing your vote that way, And if you won last elections, say, well, I'll vote my guy out this time as long as I get somebody of my same party. But people don't like to cross their party lines because that requires them to change their perspective. They have a perspective that locks them into a party. Maybe you should ask that question about yourself. Should my perspective lock me into a party? Because that's not necessarily, it seems like kind of I don't know. You can make your own choices on that one. But this is one thing I find very, very annoying about the way we run elections is it allows for this. And I'm going to have to end this now because I can start a whole nother conversation, which I really wanted to get to.
Wait a minute, can I say something?
Let me put you on that.
Listen, I am not involved into politics and all this because, to be honest with you, it drives me crazy. I absolutely hate the fact that our country literally came to a crash, a couple times, and the first thing that they want to do is they want to blame the president, and it's not the president, it's the people that are within Congress that are really. They're actually going on vacation knowing that the country's going to crash. And to me, that is a derelict in regards to their position. And so this is something that definitely gets me upset. And I'll be honest with you, I would love for an independent party to be able to put a creditable candidate up there. And that's where I get upset when people say, well, if you don't vote, then you can't complain. Well, the bottom line is my vote wouldn't count, because either party, whether it be the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, has been totally ineffective for the longest time. Because the way that the system is, it allows a Congress to be totally oppositional to the leader. And we in this case right now, we had a Congress that literally said, we are going to be oppositional to this president. And I'll be honest with you, and I've said this to you many times, I personally think that the current president of the United States is either a genius or is the most lucky individual on earth, because he's gotten the most movement out of some significant issues in his time in the office, and yet he has an oppositional Congress. And so this really, again, I could go on for a long time like you, but I really have a hard time, with the way that things are right now. And I do have a right to complain because, like I said, my vote would not count, because I would not vote either or party, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. I'm not just going to vote because that's the party that I'm around. I'm going to vote for the person that I think that actually can get something done. And be quite honest with you, I haven't seen many, because most of the time the people that are actually qualified to do the job don't want it, because they know what they're up against. I'll just leave it at that.
There we go.
There we go.
And it's true, Shane, and you were hitting the nail on the head, and that was going to be leading into this whole second part, like a whole real big rant. What I did is I gave showed you a small thing about gerrymandering, and it admitted that both parties do this, but I was showing how this gerrymandering ends up giving us these districts that are near 100% one party or the other, but also do it in such a way that in some cases the second party can never recover in certain states. So you have these certain red states and you have these certain blue states, and they never change. There's a couple of swing states, and it happens this way. But even in states where there's swing states, there's some districts that are 100% this way, 100% that way. And when I say 100%, I mean like 80% usually or more, or even 70% or 60%, 60%, 60-40 is enough to keep the other party out of it, because there's not enough people voting out of their party to save it. So that, which was something that Shane mentioned, I wish a third party could, and that's where the problem is, and this is where the whole other discussion has to take place. A third party can never rise to power in the U.S. because of the way we vote. We vote with, and I'm going to end it on these words, but we use first past the post voting, which means everybody votes. You count, the person with the most vote wins. Essentially, that's how it works. You're the first past the post, you win. The problem with that is, if a third party were to rise, typically third parties steal more from one party than from another party, which means, say if suppose you lean very Democratic, but they're not progressive enough for you. You want more with clean energy. You want more with social safety networks. You want people to stand up to the Republicans even more. So you start pushing forward this Green Party, and I am showing you Shane, and talking to you. We're gonna get this figured out eventually, but you can't do that, because as you start growing, you start stealing from the Democrats. People who would normally vote for the Democrats, while they'll support you in spirit, they won't vote for you for two reasons, really. One is that first that Shane said, well, you're just throwing your vote away. Why would I vote for a third party? It's throwing my vote away. So you already can't get them to vote for you. But now if they start voting for you, the rest of them get nervous and say, well, I can't vote for the Green Party, or whatever, that party, because if too many of us vote for that party, we've split our vote, and the other guys are going to win. Mm-hmm. So by supporting the party that you want to, you're actually letting the worst party win. In your mind, the worst of the two parties win by supporting this other party. So that first past the post voting, that keeps third parties from ever rising. So what's the fix? There could be fixes to gerrymandering. I'm going to make the argument at some point, maybe tomorrow, that we have to change the entire way we vote. That a lot of our problems come down to this. first past the post voting. We can't have first past the post voting. Wayne is going to tear this system down to the ground and build it back up. That's something my therapist has complained about. Wayne, you refuse to do things the way. Yeah, you refuse to conform. And it's a lot of times I do, because sometimes I start. Eventually every system is flawed. It's just like perspective. Every perspective is flawed. Every system is flawed, and every system needs correction. And not just band-aid correction, but fundamental changes in the system, so that it can basically start over again and build back up. And then when I say start over, you don't just scramble the starting. We don't get rid of freedom. We say we're going to kind of start over. We're going to start with basic freedom and democracy and the basics, but maybe we have to change some things down there, like how we vote, how we count votes, electoral college. So how do we vote? How do we count votes? Those kinds of things need to change. If you don't change them down there, you're just putting band-aids on this, or you're this Jenga tower or something where you're just it's doomed to collapse. And so bring it down peacefully and then re-erect it, or we're going to be heading to revolution. And I don't want to frighten anybody to think that we're going to have revolution tomorrow, but I can see us in 15 or 20 years being really, really, really on the verge of revolution, given the militarized police, given the fact that our military is everywhere, and people's freedoms are going to constantly feel like they're at stake. The way the media portrays stories actually sways things, so that's got to be. So a lot of things go on. So I'm going to have to end my rant on that. Tweet at us. RTWRE is the hashtag. Comes up. You can see. I have the Twitter up now. That's a live search on the hashtag. So just 10 hours ago, this one blue eye character was tweeting at us. That would be me. So the hashtag does work. You can also reach us on our phone line. That's good in the U.S. and Canada. It's good outside the U.S. and Canada, but you're paying for U.S. and Canada phone call, and that's at 15189-666-175. 15189-666-175. Phone lines are open from 3 to 4 during the day, 3 to 5 on weekends, and 11 to midnight every night after the show. And more changes coming. Split screen, hopefully tomorrow. Might take the next day. I got to learn about networking and some things like that I just don't know anything about. But we're getting close. I'm feeling it. I feel like it can happen. Although I have a busy day tomorrow. That have nothing to do with this show. So I probably can't spend the time on it that I want to. So it might be, who knows? But coming soon. And Shane, any departing words before we go?
No. Thursday's coming pretty soon. My company, Serenely Speaking, has a pretty big announcement, and we're working hard on that. You're helping me with a few things, and just really looking forward to it. It's been a battle to get to this point, but it's going to be rewarding when it finally gets unveiled.
All right, and while you're wondering about how's Wayne going to change the voting, remember I was the guy that couldn't get a chip out of a computer and reset the time on the phone, so maybe I'm not the best person to be leading the revolution. But we'll leave it at that. Keep challenging your perspective and courage. Live, improve, share.
Good night, folks.
Now I'm going to press the stop button here. Music would come up at this point.